Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to the Results Podcast. Now, speaking of results, I'm doing this podcast the day after England tragically lost in the final of the Euros, and I wanted to, if I could, try to see something good about it. I love Tony Robbins as saying that I either win or I learn, and I think that is such a great analogy, really, or great saying. And when we do lose, we have to try to learn something from it. We're going to lose if we play sport. Nobody wins all the time. I fully accept that. And if we're in business, the same is true. We can't win all the time. But really what we need to do is to make sure that we learn, because if we don't, we become a fool. And I hate to use the word loser, but let's just say we don't win as often as we could. But if we learn from the results, then perhaps we can. Now, I wanted to just give you my take, and I appreciate it's my take. This is not facts. I don't know. I'm not an expert on football in any way. I am a fan of football. I love my football. I love my Sheffield Wednesday. So you can tell I'm not a fan of. I'm not an expert in football. Being a Sheffield Wednesday fan, that's probably a given, really. But seriously, just wanted to give my take on it. Southgate's been, basically had lots of plaudits from his performance and, getting to the final and everything. But I think fundamentally in the final, he got it structurally wrong. He did what I think a lot of businesses are doing right now, and that is he got in front and then he sat back. And that was his first mistake, in my opinion. He sat back at the beginning of the second half. The team just sat back and let Italy attack, and they attacked and attacked and attacked, and quarter of an hour, 20 minutes later, whatever it was, they scored a goal to equalise. What happened then is he went back to the successful strategy that he was using in the first half, and all of a sudden England started to get on top again. And that happens a lot in business, and particularly right now in, let's hope the post-COVID days, where we're trying to get back on track, but we're just sitting back. So many businesses now are sitting back, waiting and hoping, and I'm not sure whether they're fully believing that things are going to get back to normal, and so they're sat back doing very little, hoping that their competitors are doing exactly the same. And some of them are and some of them aren't. So my advice to you, if you're in business, is don't sit back right now. Instead, push ahead. The best form of defense is attack. In a football analogy, people can't score if the ball's in their own half. And if England had carried on playing in the successful way they were at the start of the match, then perhaps they'd have won. So that was one of the things I wanted to say. So we should now be not sitting back but pushing forward. The second thing I wanted to really comment about was the penalties, and the penalties that were taken. Firstly, you've got two players who come out and take the first two penalties, both highly experienced players. You'd probably view them as part of the senior part of the squad. They come out and they take two really great penalties, and we're 2-1 up. The Italians have already missed one. And then what do? We bring two players out who have literally been on the pitch for 2 minutes. They've hardly played in the championships at all. And then this is followed by a young man who's, 19 years old. And I've got to say, all credit to him. He very bravely steps up and takes a penalty, which was probably the biggest, most important penalty that England have taken, for 50 years, Can you imagine how he feels today? I just feel so sorry for him. But I shouldn't, and I shouldn't because he should have never taken that penalty, in my opinion. That should have been left for the more experienced players. People like Sterling, Jack Grealish, highly experienced, highly competent, top-notch players. I'm not saying that he wasn't. What I'm saying is that, he's basically a young lad compared with those players. So that is my belief about the match. Now, you might think, well, how does that affect business, Steve? Well, that's like in business to me, betting your business on a marketing approach or a sales campaign that's not tried and tested, that you don't know whether it's going to work or not, that you're trying something for the first time without real thought, to be honest, because I know when the England team were in their little huddle, Southgate was writing a list of who is going to take the penalties. I saw him do it. Now, for me, that needed to be organised a long time before the start of the match even, not in 2 minutes, okay, guys, who'd like to take a penalty? This is a very, very important time for England, and there should have been more thought to it, I believe. Now, maybe I'm wrong, maybe he wasn't writing that down, but my perception was, I cannot understand why you'd ask two players to take a penalty who've just this second, literally 2 minutes ago come on the pitch and hardly played, and then get another one, the fifth penalty taken by a young lad who's only 19, when you've got highly experienced players on the pitch. So from a business perspective, you need to, I suppose, from a marketing point of view, fire your big guns first. Don't just go off at a tangent and try something at an important time that we're in now, but rather fire the big guns first. So that's really all I wanted to say. Very sad that England lost, obviously, but that sport, you win some, you lose some, and let's hope next time we can do even better. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again on my podcast. If you want to follow the podcast, that would be great. Subscribe. Connect to me on YouTube. Connect to me on LinkedIn. Very open to connect to people. And if you want a meeting to discuss your marketing, then just simply go to www.steve-mills.com. Mills is spelled Mills. So thanks very much, and speak soon.